Hi, Krishna.
Hey Rick, sorry I was a little bit late. How are you doing?
No problem. Most folks just trickle in as as they please. I'm doing well, thank you. This is not your first time here, right?
I have been here one time before, yes, but I trickled in very late at that time, so I didn't catch the early part of it.
No problem. So you're familiar with kind of the program, if you
A
will.
little bit, not too much.
Okay. It's basically AMA. I've been part of the Never Search Alone community for a while, so I'm familiar with the playbook. And my background's in recruiting for the past 12 years. Prior to that, I was in software product development and product management.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yes, I made a transition. Um, and so I do this on a weekly basis, been doing it now for about a year, just helping folks with insights into recruiting and, providing sort of a recruiter's perspective to the job search and, even specific situations or whatnot that you might encounter as somebody that's navigating their job search. So.
That's good. What made you switch from product management and product development to recruiting?
It was just happenstance. My wife started a recruiting firm and she started having more work than she can handle.
Okay.
And we decided to double down and I joined her in 2013.
Nice.
And, recruiting can be very lucrative. Um, and so we were doing that for a while. And, yeah, so, and then we were recruiting a lot of technical talent and a lot of product. So my experience and my relationships um, in product management and tech. It really helped build a lot of credibility and relationships in as I transitioned into recruiting. Yeah.
Mm, nice. That's always
So
good.
yeah. So I usually do this on Thursdays, and it's summertime, and there's a lot of shifting schedules on my part. So I sent an email out yesterday, moving from Thursday tomorrow to today, and then the next few weeks are a little bit shuffled. So yeah, I'm not sure who's going to show up today, but maybe you have me all to yourself, Krishna. So I'm happy to we could just jump right in, like we don't have to wait for anybody. If there's anything I can help with or any questions you have, I'm happy to provide any insights that might be helpful.
Yeah. I was just curious to hear your thoughts on like this whole. So I know last time I was on the call, we talked a little bit about networking, and you had like
Sure.
very good insights. Um, I was I was wondering if you can talk to me a little bit about the cold applications. I have been trying both, and my approach is anything that I don't have a contact or like have a long shot, just apply. And it takes me, there are tools that can help me apply in like a few seconds. Anything that I have the network and I go for referral. And then the strategy that I haven't come up with, like have a list of companies that I want to go like make a very intentional networking and kind of get to the hiring. A few trends that I've been picking up is one, it's been super competitive, obviously, as you know. And these postings are removed in a couple of days, like max a week. Like job posters are removing things because I think they're being overwhelmed with the number of applications. Referrals seem to
Yeah.
be not working as much because I'm guessing a lot of people are getting referrals. So you need a personal referral, like hiring manager,
Yeah.
warm lead, or the hiring manager. That seems to work. But I've been getting some interviews by cold application. And that's probably just purely a volume play, probably. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on that piece, the cold application. Like how does it go from me to somebody like you who either like process it or like you're reaching out to candidates, which seems to still be happening where like I've been reached out a couple of times. Like, how does that world work where like with this super competitive thing, how's my cold emails or cold application still working? And I wanted to see if there's something for me to refine there and then get a better reach.
Yeah. So there's a lot of questions that you're asking, Krishna. I'll start from the top in terms of my opinion and my perspective, right? As somebody that's looking to identify and connect with opportunities, I really think there's two ways to do it, right? There's the sort of outbound active approach that includes things like applying, sort of maybe networking, um, uh, you know, uh, sending outreach messages to hiring managers. It's sort of active on your part in terms of going out and reaching out. So that's one way. The other way is to sort of raise
Yeah.
a flag
Yeah.
and basically tell the universe, tell the world what you're all about, and to be very specific about your brand, your message, and start to establish yourself as an authority. And the idea is that people will come to you,
Yeah.
right? And this is not mutually exclusive, right? It's not either or. And I think you can do both. And I think it's finding that balance and allocating the right amount of effort in each of those areas. I think disproportionately, a lot of folks do the former, right?
Yeah.
They are doing outbound
Yeah.
outreach, sort of outbound networking, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then they're getting frustrated because, like you said, a lot of the people on the receiving end are inundated, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about that for a minute, how can you make the outbound and the cold outreach, kind of how that works? Um, it is competitive, and what's happening is a lot of times nowadays they're dealing with more than they traditionally have been expected to handle. For example, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a recruiter would handle maybe five requisitions, let's say 5 to 8 requisitions or jobs. Now they're handling more. They're expected to do more with less, right? And maybe part of that is AI. Maybe part of that is companies just streamlining. Maybe part of that is they might have open job requisitions, but they're slow rolling the hiring process, right? So if that's the case, a recruiter can handle more requisitions than if they were all really active and urgent, right? So so that's kind of what you're dealing with. And there's a lot of different things you can do as far as like, making your resume sort of more consumable, right? And I mean, how long have you been with the NSA?
Couple of months.
Couple of months. Okay. So, you've probably touched on a lot of the things that you could do to refine your messaging
Yeah.
and integrate that into your LinkedIn profile and resume. And so my guess is your resume and LinkedIn profile is probably 90% at least, right? Maybe higher. Um, but even if you get it to 99 or 100%, like you should still be doing sort of that secondary approach where you're raising the flag, right? And
Yeah.
you're building out a brand for yourself.
Yeah.
Hi, Christopher. Um, so actually I have a question for you guys. I would imagine you have a professional network, right? You guys don't strike me as somebody that just graduated from college.
Yeah, we do. I do.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
You do have a professional network, right? Like, people that you've worked with, whether that's in your head, on your
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile, or in a spreadsheet. Like you have a list of people that you've worked with that know your name and know what you stand for.
Yeah.
How are you guys leveraging that or approaching that? Like, have you gone to just LinkedIn and said, "Hey, hey Bob, I'm looking for my next opportunity. If you see anything, like,
Yeah.
are you guys doing anything like that to your network?"
I can start maybe. I have done that. I have not published open to work in LinkedIn and kind of did
Okay.
that outreach, but I've been very specific about people I reach out to and then sort of ask, mostly when I know that person can help me. And then when I find a job, I do intentional networking to specifically ask for something. And I found that when I ask for something in my network, hey, I'm looking for a job. I was recently laid off. Often it's more sympathy than help because I feel like they don't know what to do. And they're like, okay, sorry. And then I feel like some of them don't want to talk to me because they don't know what to talk about. Like it's very awkward.
Yeah.
When I ask for a specific help, it's reasonably effective, but unless, in my experience, unless that person directly knows the hiring manager or is the hiring manager, I have not seen any success so far because it's
Right.
too many of them. And some of them take a couple of weeks to respond to me and they
Yeah.
want to refer by the time the job is already like past
Yeah.
a place where you can apply. So I feel like it's more harmful to me to get referral than helpful because it's like you need to work with them and you need to kind of help them and they take time to come back and I'm like, okay, this job is gone in like 3 days and there isn't
Yeah.
a way
Yeah.
for me to force you to do it. And I know you want to help, but like I don't know how this is kind of not working. That's my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Christopher? I would imagine you have a list of folks, again, whether it's in your head or in a spreadsheet of
Yeah,
people that you've worked with that know you professionally.
yeah. I have a pretty deep network on LinkedIn. I think, you know, deep network in terms, if you just look at it kind of in a qualitative sense, lots of people. But then, looking back over the years, it's like, in terms of how these people are actually may be able to assist me, it's that's up for discussion. But I've tried to be a little bit more. I've tried to be very prescriptive in terms of who I'm reaching out to, and so, for instance, if there are opportunities that I'm pursuing, and just seeing where I have, I might not have connections in with those, with that prospective employer, and but people within my network who I've worked directly with and who know me well do. And so I've gone and just asked for introductions.
Okay.
They've been willing to do that, and so far I will say that it's paid off probably 75% of the time. Uh,
Okay. Okay. So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, you guys do have a list. Um, when you guys reach out to folks, it's more for a pointed ask because maybe they know somebody at a particular company or whatnot. Is that
yeah,
fair?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Have you, I'm just, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this line of question here in a minute. Have you guys, ever considered like more of a newsletter? I hate to use the word newsletter. There's a lot of implications with that, but have you guys thought of like just sort of a broader newsletter campaignish kind of email or series of emails that goes out to your network that's basically telling like your brand story, your professional brand story without any asks, or at least initially no asks.
I haven't tried that. I think I've seen that recently. I was kind of intrigued by it. It um, I was intrigued by it because when I came upon this, I thought it seemed really unique. I hadn't seen that approach
How did you
before.
come about this? Somebody reached out to you with a similar email?
No, it was actually, I think it was just posted on LinkedIn. So it was not, and honestly, I may be connected with the person. I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I didn't, it wasn't a name. It wasn't a name that was just like, oh, I wonder what she's up to, or just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know she was doing
Yeah.
this, um, but I saw it as kind of a unique, uh, approach. And I'm going to try and find it now. So,
So the reason I'm asking this, right, is because I've worked with a lot of job seekers, and I myself am transitioning from helping job seekers to helping folks that are really interested about furthering their personal brand to the extent that they are able to the extent that that's able to support their entrepreneurial endeavors. Yeah. Because I think this is the way it's going. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think this is the way it's going. I think the days where a disproportionate amount of folks are W-2, that I think the W-2 folks, especially in the knowledge worker space, especially in the executive level, senior level, or the folks that have deep domain specialization or expertise, I think the days of those folks going from W-2, spend 4 years there, next W-2, spend 4 years there, next W-2. I think those days are going to be not completely over, but I think those days, with that being the norm, is going to start to go away. And I think there's a lot of forces that are pushing it in that direction. You're talking about AI, you're talking about, companies that are having to move very quickly, and they'd have to adapt to the market need with specialized, forming specialized short-term project-based teams, right? And with the disproportion, I mean, with the proliferation of fractional workers, right? Fractional, they used to be consultants, but now fractional has become. Do you guys know the difference between fractional and sort of consultant and how those terms are used?
mhm.
I learned this just the other day. So for the record, my understanding, based on what I've learned, is consultants tend to do, they could do multiple projects at once, serving multiple clients. But a lot of times they're just brought in for certain insights in terms of their domain expertise, and they provide recommendations. Whereas fractional workers tend to be quite embedded in the companies that they're working with. So they do bring domain expertise, they do bring recommendations and strategic level sort of leadership or guidance, but they're also tactically and executionally on the hook, right? And so
Mhm.
that's my understanding of the difference between consultants and fractional. Anyway, just to take it back up, I think the days of W2, W2, W2 are evolving and they're going to change. And I think increasingly folks are going to have to figure out how to monetize their domain expertise. And historically, if I was a CFO, how would I monetize my domain and functional expertise? I just go get a CFO job, maybe take some equity, whatever, right? But typically that's just one job. I'm done with the job in a few years and move on to the next thing. Increasingly, I think there's going to be a need and a desire for folks to monetize their expertise via multiple revenue streams. And part of it maybe could be W-2 initially, but maybe it's more fractional consulting work, even writing a book, right? Or forming some sort of community, educational community or something like that. But I think the future is multiple revenue streams. And so anyway, the point is, helping folks find, in that normal paradigm of W-2, 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 I think what it's going to be now is, okay, W-2 transitioning into multiple revenue streams, but still the same things need to happen in terms of furthering their professional brand. The difference is that the person that's jumping from W-2, 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 a lot of times they spend time on their personal brand really only during the job search phase, which ideally is just a few months, if that, right? But in some cases right now, we're seeing it's 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, right? Whereas I think the paradigm that is going to start to be more prevalent is having this constant thread of managing your personal brand. It's not just, okay, now I'm looking for my next job. Now I'm going to spend time on personal brand and networking and this and that. It's going to be a constant thread as people have multiple revenue streams and maybe they're not jumping from W-2 to W-2. So anyway, that's why I bring this up, because I see a lot of job seekers. You know, Krishna, we were talking about this before Christopher, before you jumped on, is sort of how to sort of navigate sort of that cold outreach, And my thought is that there's two ways to do, um, there's two ways, right? One is cold outreach. The other one is sort of raising a flag and building a brand where people come to you, right? Because you're known for a certain specialization, a certain skill set, solving a specific problem. And they have that problem, so they're going to come to you, right? And
Right.
so those two approaches are not mutually exclusive. And going back to your network and your sort of your mailing list, if you will, and how do you nurture that and how do you build that and how do you start to tell a story that keeps you top of mind, conveys your message about who you are, what you do, like what problems you solve, such that people can either come to you or they could be your eyes and ears, right? And we talk about that in the NSA a bit, right, with the candidate market fit statement and crafting your messaging. But a lot of times it's done within the context of the W2, 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 right? And so anyway, these are some of the things that I've been thinking about because I'm trying to position myself where I can start to help specifically fractional folks make that
Mhm.
transition, either make that transition from W2 into fractional, or if they've already made that transition, operationalizing their fractional work, right? With some of the challenges that they have in terms of pipeline development and monetizing um, through multiple revenue streams. So anyway, just to bring this back, um,
Uh,
it's something to consider, right? Like if you have a mailing list or you can put one together, how do you nurture that mailing list, right? Because one way to do it is just to reach out selectively to individuals for a particular reason. Oh, Steve, I see you work at this company. There's an opportunity there. I think I'd be a great fit. Can you help me navigate? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's one approach, right? And again, it's not mutually exclusive, but maybe the other approach is, sort of nurturing a campaign, a Krishna campaign, a Christopher campaign to tell your
yeah.
story. These people already
Mhm.
know you, right? They already know you to some degree. They already have, at least they have name recognition. If they're on the list, they should at least have name recognition of who you are.
Right.
Telling your story, reminding them of who you are, seeking a testimonial or recommendation or endorsement. I mean, maybe you factor that ask in at some point in the sequence. Right. And then just being top of mind, and then also like sort of it's a channel now where you can start to profess your expertise, right? And maybe your expertise is relevant to them directly, and maybe it's not, which is fine, right? Maybe they opt out, it's fine, right? But you can start to build this list of people that are following you for a particular reason because you have a particular skill set, experience, or whatnot that resonates with them or might resonate with them in the future. And so I just wanted to throw that out there and kind of see like, it's just something that I'm going to continue to ask as I
Mhm.
do this coffee with a recruiter because I think the paradigm is shifting, especially with knowledge workers and especially with knowledge workers at more of the senior level. So,
Yeah. I think that, the people in my network, people, LinkedIn and otherwise, who I know who are looking more for sort of fractional opportunities are tend to be at the CTO, CMO levels. That's where I see uh, most of that uh, activity.
yeah.
Are you seeing it elsewhere too?
I'm starting to see it with niche specialized skill sets.
Right.
So like if you're a product manager with some, I don't know, some B2B SaaS AI experience or it's kind of
Right.
niche, right? Those folks can start to sell their experience and their consulting um, to a number of different clients concurrently. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be C level, but if you have some niche experience, and I think that's part of, sort of branding yourself too, because I would imagine both of you have a portfolio of experience over the years, right? And you can handpick your experience such that you're just highlighting the experience that tends to be particularly marketable and just particularly interested to you, right? Or interesting to you. So this is the kind of work you want to continue building on, right? And so you can handpick from your experience and start to showcase that experience and even just start creating content that could be relevant to people that would either value that experience now or at some point in the future. And so I've been sort of championing this a while, not this specifically, but championing the idea of like start creating content on LinkedIn. And the content should be around, what you're professionally excited about, right? It should humanize you as a person. Um, and it should be aligned with your candidate market fit statement, right? To sort of elevate you as either a thought leader or somebody that brings a specialized experience or skill set for solving specific problems. And so, I've told people like, write content, do a post every now and then, and it could be time consuming to do that consistently. Um,
Yeah.
and that's a problem that I've recognized among a lot of folks, right? And that's a problem that operationally we're set up to solve. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything, but I have virtual assistants that are offshore in the Philippines that do this for me, and we are operationalizing and productizing this to sell this to other folks. And I've been looking at how do I help SMBs, small companies and startups do this. But now I'm starting to sort of niche down a little bit even further. Like I'm looking at fractional folks that have either made the transition or are about to make that transition and how we can
Right.
start to operationalize that for them and help them with that. But a
Yeah.
lot of what I'm talking about is whether you want to be fractional or not fractional, you want to be W2, W2, it's still relevant, right? In terms of building out some sort of operation for nurturing your network. And I would encourage folks to think about this not just in the, oh, I'm a job seeker right now, but once I find my job, I'm no longer a job seeker. So everything that I'm doing with job seeking in terms of nurturing my network, whatever, I'm going to stop doing that because that's what often ends up happening, right? And yeah, I think the days of job security, especially in knowledge work, is like it's quite fleeting, right?
Mhm.
So I think that thread of managing your network and your personal professional brand, you're gonna have to spend more time. You're gonna have to dedicate more consistent time and attention to that, even if you're gainfully and happily employed,
Yeah.
because it's only gonna pay dividends. It'll bring you new opportunities, even if it's not W2. So anyway, I'm doing a lot of talking here. I want to answer your guys' questions. I was just curious to see where you guys were with respect to like how you're nurturing your list in your network and if you've kind of refined that list and how you're reaching out to these folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, yeah, I've been using my network. That sounds bad, but I've been uh, fortunate to have some good former colleagues and business associates who've been very helpful in terms of making introductions into
Mhm.
organizations where there are specific opportunities that I'm chasing after, and helping me to avoid sort of drowning in the applicant pool. Uh, uh, you know the what you're saying about kind of fractional pursuits is very interesting. I know for me personally that I'm in between right now, and uh, I'm also at a point where I'll probably looking to retire, whatever that means, uh,
Yeah.
in 3 to 5 years, depending what transpires in the next coming months, and wherever I end up landing. But retirement is not just like, well, yeah, I'll stop working and sit on the porch. It's just like, first of all, I drive myself nuts, and my wife as well. Uh,
Yeah.
but thinking about kind of the post-retirement is like, then what? Because, I certainly don't want to be going into, I certainly don't want to be going into an office every day. Uh, uh, so looking more for sort of that sort of fractional role, and choosing that over more traditional consulting. Um,
Yeah. But basically how, I mean, I think retirement, right? The nature of retirement is evolving and, there's a lot of folks that have, they've worked a great career and they have a great network. And now their idea of retiring is like, they just want more flexibility. They still want to
right,
work. Maybe they don't want to work full time, but they want to work some portion of their time, but they want to be able to work on things that they're excited about,
right,
right? And maybe it's for money. Maybe they're not economically compelled to, but they want to have that flexibility to choose what they want to work on, right?
right.
When they want to work and how they want to work.
Yeah,
Um, and so, and how do you come across those opportunities? How do you, I think those are some of the questions, right? Especially if you've been primarily heads down and, how do you increase your likelihood of having a bigger funnel of the opportunities to select from?
right.
I think those are some of the questions that come up. Um, so anyway, happy to answer any other questions if you guys have, or any reactions you might have to what I was um, sort of sharing with you would be welcome too.
Good food for thought. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm. I apologize for apologies for joining late. Uh,
you're good.
so
You're good, Christopher. You're welcome here. I mean, I know people have different schedules and
yeah.
whatnot. So I usually do this on Thursdays because of the summertime and kids being home and travel schedules.
Hmm.
There's a little bit of a shuffle. I sent an email out. By the way, did you guys receive the email I sent out yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm not sure. I need to figure out like I'm not sure what fraction of those emails are going to spam or not. I did get a bunch of replies, but there's also like almost 600 people on that mailing list. So anyway, all right. Unless you guys have any other questions, I'll be actually the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to be around. If you guys need anything, feel free to email me. Happy to help. But then we'll find a regular cadence sometime in August. I think we're spinning back up. It's in the email, beginning of August. And until then, if there's anything I can help with, let me know.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Eric.
All right.
Great.
You're welcome, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you
Cheers.
soon. Bye.
Bye now.